go ahead and just say it. You don't have to wait till I'm done.
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, sorry, that was weird. Yes, so, all right, it's being recorded now for anybody that wasn't able to join us today. All right.
Okay, so this presentation, like I mentioned, it is going to be on external, internal contraceptives or barrier methods. I didn't go into any detail in terms of like implant contraceptives or any hormonal, anything like that, just because that gets a little trickier and takes a lot more time to explain. But these are going to be the basic overviews of the barrier methods. So next slide, please. The effectiveness of condoms. So they are extremely highly effective when it comes to providing protection and prevention against sexually transmitted infections and HIV, but they have to be used consistently and they have to be used correctly and they have to be used. Otherwise, they don't work. So if you have people that want to talk to you, especially in terms of adolescents, that say, oh yeah, I carry a condom around, but they're sexually active and they've never used it, obviously that condom in their pocket or their purse or wherever it is, it's not going to do anything at all. So they have to be used and they have to be used appropriately. And they can protect against, like I said, the bacterial STIs, they protect against HIV, they also protect against any human papilloma virus or any other ulcerated virus that might be present on the skin. Next slide, please. Ways of transmission. So for STIs, including gonorrhea, trich, as well as HIV, these are transmitted when urethral or vaginal secretions come into contact with their partner's mucosal surfaces, including the male urethra, the vagina, as well as the cervix. So the bacterial STIs, these are transmitted through the secretions when they do come into contact with it. When we talk more about HIV is contracted this way as well. Generally, that is more prominent when there are rips and tears and things like that in the mucosal surfaces. Again, that's a little more detail than what we need to go into. The biggest point is the barrier method protects you against these secretions because it protects your mucosal surfaces. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Rachel, I was just going to ask before we move on, because I know obviously there's more STIs than just the ones you mentioned. So, but I also know that condoms can offer some protection even against like herpes. Can you talk a little bit about their efficacy in those situations?
Oh, yes. And I do have a slide where we'll go into that a little bit more, but yes, it does protect against things like human papilloma virus, anybody that has the warts on their skin present, and it also protects against herpes as well if they are having an outbreak. Now, herpes and warts both can be in places where these condoms do not cover. So that is something that also has to be talked about and explained a little bit more, just because it covers, a male condom will cover the shaft of the penis, but it will not cover around the area at the base of the penis very well. And then female condoms do pretty well internally to protect. It just depends on, again, where the outbreaks are occurring and where that skin-to-skin contact occurs. So that's kind of what this one goes over. Yeah. Anything involving genital ulcers or other sores, such as the warts, also syphilis, which is a big thing, especially here in Mobile. We have seen a huge syphilis outbreak. And the tricky thing about syphilis, as well as herpes, is you may not see the actual sore present. So it could be, inside of the vagina or inside of the anus or somewhere along those areas where you're not going to be able to visibly see it. So that has, that's just another reason why you should use some form of barrier protection, just because you never actually know. Next slide, please. So according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, laboratory studies have demonstrated that latex condoms provide an essentially impermeable barrier to particles the size of STIs as well as HIV. So any of those bacterial particles that are there, it does show that it does protect, as long as there's no rips, no tears, or anything like that in the condom itself.
Can you talk also about other besides latex?
Yes. So people that do have latex allergies, the good thing, I think most of the female condoms, as well as the dental dams, are all latex free anyway anymore. There are a large group of the male condoms as well that are latex free. So just depending on your preference, a lot of people just don't prefer latex in general. They may not have an allergy, but they just may not, prefer to stay away from latex, which I think that's probably the biggest sales when it does come to condoms right now are latex free.
Okay. And in terms of lambskin, those are still, they still would protect against STIs. Is that right?
They do protect, yes. Any barrier protection along those. The only thing with lambskin is I know that they have had some issues with bacteria on them themselves. It's not a huge thing, but that's just one problem. It's better than nothing. I will say that.
Okay, great.
So internal condoms, these are known as female condoms. I like to refer them as condoms for individuals with vaginas, just so I'm not messing up anybody's preferred pronouns or anything along those lines. So even when we set up our tables and our booths places, I always will say, these are condoms for individuals with vaginas. These are condoms for individuals with a penis, just to help all of that as well. But these are the internal condoms. I'm going to go over the right way to use them and the do's and the don'ts along with all of it. So do's when it comes to female condom. You want to use a condom from start to finish every time you have any vaginal sex. So this includes foreplay, especially when there are no clothes involved. This is like I said, a barrier method. So you want to protect from the time that you come into contact until the time that you are done having contact. Make sure you read the condom package insert and check the expiration dates. That's huge as well. Make sure there are no tears or defects in the condoms or they will not work. Use lubricants to help prevent the condom from slipping and tearing, and store these condoms in a cool, dry place because they can damage over time. If they are stored in too hot or too cold of an environment, the package gets messed up, and then initially the condom itself will be ruined.
My understanding about internal condoms is that they can be placed several hours ahead of time. Is that right?
Yes, they can be. Now, you're not going to want to do a lot of walking around and moving around upright once you have your condom in place. But yes, if you know that you're going to be, hanging out in bed or cuddling, watching a movie or doing something along those lines, absolutely, yes, you can put it in ahead of time.
Awesome.
Some of the don'ts. Do not use a internal condom with an external condom because the friction between the two will cause one of them, if not both, to tear. You don't want to reuse condoms, so don't take your condom out, wash it, and try to reuse it again. You're going to damage it. You're going to get an infection that way. It's just not a good thing to do. And don't flush the condoms. You will clog your toilet. Just throw them away. And then this is a video, and it just kind of shows the application and the usage of the internal condom.
Y'all will just give me 1 minute to switch my share. Let's see here. Okay. All right.
Christina, I'm not hearing a sound on that.
You weren't hearing anything? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I don't have any volume.
Okay. I've had this issue before, and I don't recall. Let's see. Hang on. Optimize for video clip. Was no one else hearing it either?
I was not.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me try it one more time.
Hey, while you're working on that, can I ask a question about internal condoms?
You can.
Several years ago, I had tried to source those for demonstration purposes here on campus. And I went to dozen different pharmacies, and they did not exist anywhere. And I was told that they just quit carrying them because nobody ever used them. And is there a place that you could point anyone to where they could reliably find them?
You know, wasn't aware that they weren't available. I know we supply them here at the clinic. We always have a stock of both the internal and external condoms. I will have to look into that and see if places are not selling them anymore and why.
Yeah, well, and I quit looking. I've got a couple that I use just to show them to people because no one's ever seen them. But none of the big national chain pharmacies had them at all. And they said they intentionally quit carrying them because they didn't sell them. And
So
I never found a source again.
it's been many years ago since this article came out, but many years ago, we read an article that that started happening, that the company that manufactures them, you now have to order online, or you can, it was like you order online or you can get a prescription from your doctor, but who knows where you can fill it because none of the pharmacies carry them anymore. I don't know why they did that. It just makes them very inaccessible. But yeah, we had read the same thing, but it's been several years ago since that change happened.
Man, I don't even know where we order ours from. That's crazy to me.
I hold on to like the one I have left just because it's like so rare.
Yeah, it is. I actually, in one of the classes that I was teaching, I used to always bring them with me because I feel like majority of people don't know how to use them or what they even look like or feel like. So I just had them open it, you know, pass it around, see how it is. But yes, they're very rarely used, I think.
I just shared the name of the condom company, FC2. I know if you go and you Google that, you can get to their website, and then I don't know from there if you can order some for demonstration or what, but yeah, I think they are tricky to find nowadays, which is really unfortunate. Okay, let's try this video one more time. If this doesn't work, then I will just share these with you all individually. So let's see here.
When we go to use a female condom, we want to make sure that it's still in good condition. So the first thing that we're going to check is the expiry date.
Were you guys hearing it or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's back.
Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to start it over then.
My name is Natalia and I'm a sexual health educator. I'm going to be showing you how to use a female or internal condom. Female condoms are really fantastic because they're made of polyurethane and not latex, so you can use them if you have a latex allergy. Because of the outer ring, they also provide a little bit more of a barrier, which provides protection against STIs. Female condoms protect against STIs and unwanted pregnancy. When we go to use a female condom, we want to make sure that it's still in good condition. So the first thing that we're going to check is the expiry date. On this one, the expiry date is printed underneath the fold. And I can see that it doesn't expire for 4 years, so we're good to go. To open the condom, you want to push it to the side and then tear down the side of the packaging. Don't use your teeth or scissors because you might accidentally damage the condom. When we remove the condom, we can see that there's two separate rings, an inner ring and an outer ring. We're going to squeeze the inner ring, and then you would insert it into the vagina until you can't feel it anymore. The outer ring just rests against the outside of the vagina and provides an increased barrier to STIs. If you want to add lubricant, you can add a little bit to the inside of the condom. It's really important to make sure that you guide the penis into the condom. You don't want it accidentally going around the sides. After sex, twist the condom, pull it out, making sure that no semen spills, and then wrap it in a tissue and throw it in the garbage. You want to make sure that you always use a new condom for every sex act.
Okay. Back to our slides.
One other thing, anytime somebody is new to sex, they've never had sex before, but they know that they're planning on having sex, I do tell them practice with the condoms first. Especially the female condoms, like you see, it can be a little complicated. They can definitely be messy. But either way, whether it's internal, external condoms, I always tell them to practice with them before actually using them, just to get familiar with the condoms.
Can you also talk a little bit, or as much as you know, about how they can be used for anal sex, or if they can be used for anal sex? I was told at one point they could be if you remove the inner ring. I don't know if that's still recommended or not.
I don't really know if that's recommended either. I usually just refer everybody to an external condom and use it as an internal when it comes to anal sex, just because I really don't know. I guess it's a person's preference, but again, I would tell them to try it and practice. As long as it is giving them coverage, that's all that matters.
Right.
But the other thing is to always make sure that you have the condom when you're finished having sex, because that's another issue that some people have, is they lose the condom either vaginally or in the anus. It's not lost, but
Yeah.
it doesn't come out with the penis. So that's the other thing too.
Right. And then of course you're not going to have the same amount of protection if you
Yes.
lose it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so external condoms, these are the male condoms. External condoms, like I said, I refer to these as condoms for individuals with a penis. And these are the do's and don'ts when it comes to those condoms. They're very similar when it comes to female condoms versus the male condoms. When it comes to the do's and don'ts, you want to use the condom every time you have sex. Put the condom on before you're having sex. So this includes foreplay. Read the package, the expiration date. Make sure there's no tears or defects. Store the condoms, just like the others, in a cool, dry place, and use water-based or silicone-based lubricant to prevent breakage. Usually, if you're buying lubricant in the same area that you're buying the condoms, these are going to be able to be used with the condoms. But if you have any questions, I tell them to always ask the pharmacist. A lot of people will never do that because they're embarrassed. But it is a pretty safe bet that if they are sold together, they can be used together. I usually hand out lubricant with our condoms here so that they can use them simultaneously and they don't have to worry about whether or not it's okay to use that. The biggest thing is to tell people you don't want to use cooking oils. You don't want to use Vaselines, different things like that. So some of the don'ts. You store the condoms in your wallet. Don't want to do that. The heat, the cold, whichever, the friction can damage them. The spermicides can cause irritations. Condoms already include spermicides on them. So that's another thing to let people know. They don't need to be adding spermicides to it. And the females do not need to be putting spermicide inside before their partner is using a male condom. You don't want to use the oil-based lubricants like baby oils, lotions, petroleum jellies, or cooking oils because they can damage the condom and cause it to break. You don't want to use more condom at a time. And again, when it comes to external condoms, just like internal, you don't want to reuse these condoms. When you're finished with it, you need to cover it up, throw it away in the trash. Don't flush it. And then this is the video on how to use the external condoms.
Just 1 second, y'all.
This is a condom demonstration. People use condoms to lower the risk of STIs and pregnancy. It is important to put a condom on before you have any sexual contact. This type of condom can be used for any type of sex with a penis. There are lots of different condoms to choose from. If someone is allergic to latex, they can use a latex-free condom. Any condom that says it protects against pregnancy, STIs, and HIV is made out of a material that works. Before using a condom, there are two things to check. The first is the expiry date. Condoms break down over time. Check the expiry date printed on the condom package or on the box. This one has not expired yet, so it would be good to use today. The second thing to check is that the package does not have any holes and that it looks like it's in good condition. To do this, squeeze the package and make sure you feel for a pocket of air, like a bag of chips. That shows there are no holes in the package. Now is a good time for a reminder. Condoms need careful storage. They are sensitive to heat, cold, folding, sunlight, and rubbing. I am now ready to open the condom package. To open a condom, push the condom over to one side and then rip down the other side of the package. Be careful. Fingernails and jewelry can damage condoms. Never use teeth or scissors to open a condom package. Condoms sometimes come with lubricant already on them, and you can add more water-based or silicone-based lubricant if you want. Anything with oil in it will break a condom, such as body lotion. When you look at a condom, you can see that the tip can be pushed through either way, but there is a right way and a wrong way to put on a condom. When you look carefully at a rolled-up condom, you can see a crease where the condom is rolled up on itself. If the condom is on the penis correctly, you will see the crease folding in and around the tip. An easy way to remember which way the condom should go on the penis is that it looks something like a sombrero. I'm going to use my fingers to simulate a penis. As I place the condom on the end of the erect penis, I'm going to pinch the tip. The tip of the condom gives space for semen, or some people call it cum. It's important that there is space at the tip of the condom, otherwise the condom could break. Squeezing air out of the tip is what makes room for the ejaculated semen. I keep it pinched and roll the condom down. With a real penis, I would use 2 hands to pinch and roll, all the way down to the base of the penis. Now the condom is on the penis correctly and you are ready for sexual activity. After ejaculation, while the penis is still hard, hold on to the base of the condom and pull out from the body. Then carefully remove the condom and tie it in a knot. Throw the condom in the garbage, not in the toilet, because it can clog your toilet or wreck your septic system. Use condoms one at a time and use a new condom each time you have sex or switch sexual activities, like going from anal sex to vaginal sex. Practicing safer sex is all about protection, consent, and communication. For information and services about sexual and reproductive health in your area.
So that one does really good with explaining how to actually put the condom on, how to squeeze the tip at the top, how to remove the condom, all of that when it comes to it. And I think you've probably seen on both of those, when you are getting either of the condoms out of the wrapper, both have explained how you push the condom to one side before you rip the top off, because it happens all the time. People go to rip it and they're ripping, pulling on the condom itself, which you don't want to do. Next slide, please. The dental dams, these again, just like the internal condoms, they are not used very frequently, but they, I hope they're still available in places as well. We have them here for people to use, but dental dams are latex or polyurethane sheets that are used between the mouth and the vagina or the anus during oral sex. So I'm going to do the same thing, goes over your do's and don'ts when it comes to them. So the do's, you do want to use one every single time you are having any oral sex. Read the package, just like before, with any expiration date, just like the other condoms. Make sure there's no tears, no defects. Put it on before starting oral sex and keep on there until you are done with the oral sex. Use water-based, silicone-based lubricants to prevent breakage and store them in cool, dry places. You don't want to reuse a dental dam. These do seem a little more durable. I don't know if any of you have ever messed with one and played with one, but they seem like it would be something that you might be able to reuse, which probably confuses some people, but just remind them, don't try to wash them and reuse them. Don't stretch the dental dams because you can tear it. Don't use any of the spermicide when it comes to that. You don't want to be using spermicide during oral sex anyway, but it can cause irritation to it. Don't use any oil-based products, baby lotions, lotions, petroleum jellies, or any cooking oils. It will damage it as well. Definitely don't flush these. They are larger and they are going to clog your toilet as well.
Okay.
All right, and this will show the video for these.
The first step in engaging in sexual activity is to get consent. Consent requires affirmative, voluntary words or actions that are understandable to all parties involved. Once consent is communicated, you want to check the expiration and inspect. The expiration date should be clearly visible on the package. Next, you want to be sure there are no visible holes, rips, or tears. A helpful way to do this is by holding the product to the light and seeing if any light comes through the wrapper. If there is no light, that is a good indicator it has not been tampered with and is still effective in preventing STIs. Next, you want to carefully open the dental dam. Do this by moving the product to one side of the package and carefully opening without using your teeth or nails to avoid damage to the product. Next, you want to rinse off the talc powder with water and pat dry with a towel if not flavored, like this one. Add water or silicone-based lubricant on the side of the barrier that will face the body part you intend to perform oral sex on. Adding lubricant can help the material from breaking down due to friction during sexual activity and may increase sexual pleasure. Do not use oil-based lubricant to avoid breaking down the latex material of the dental dam. Carefully place the oral barrier over the body part you intend to perform oral sex on. Do not use the same barrier between the anus and vagina, as this could cause an infection. Do not chew or bite the barrier during oral sex or a hole will develop. Do not share barriers and only use one side of the barrier. Throw away the barrier in the appropriate trash after each use. Do not throw away in a toilet.
So, I mean, you can see all of the barrier methods, they are very simple to use. The rules to follow with them are very similar as well. It's just the fact of actually using them that is the biggest issue that we have when it comes to using barrier method protection. But that is my, that's my presentation. I did add all of this on the end just because if you go to those sites, you can actually get patient printouts of all the information too, and just hand those out as you want.
Yes,
Anybody have questions?
and I'll be sharing these slides as we typically do after these presentations, so you'll have access to all of these links as well. We're gonna stay on here for a minute or two to see if there's any questions, but before you all go, I am dropping the evaluation in the chat. If you will go there and fill out the evaluation, that helps us, you know, give you all the webinars that you want and find speakers. And so if you will fill that out before you leave, even if you don't have a question. I do have a quick question. Is it still okay to, if, in the absence of a dental dam, to use a condom and kind of, I've always heard that you can cut it down the center and use it as a dental dam if you didn't have one. Is that okay?
It's not recommended, but again, it's better than nothing. That's what I would tell anybody. I would rather them use something than nothing at all.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing, especially when working with adolescents, anybody in general, but definitely adolescents at that age and teens in general, is use the appropriate anatomy terms. That's a big thing. Anybody, even if they seem young or too young to be having sex, if they're thinking of having sex, they should be able to say penis, vagina, sex, you know, all of those terms without blushing or feeling embarrassed. Like it gives them the ability to speak openly a lot more if we are going to speak openly to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something we harp on a lot with all the different curriculums we use, is using medically accurate terminology. And I'm sure it helps you as a provider when they can come in and use that language as well. You don't have to kind of guess at what they mean.
Well, I mean, I even have adults, you know, that come in daily and they'll tell me about an issue or something that they see weird on their area. And I'm like, you need to explain to me what your area is. You know, like make them say it or have them say it in front of them.
Yeah. Your area could be a lot of different areas. Yeah. Great. Well, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. Rachel, thank you so much for taking some time to be with us today. To everyone else, please fill out the evaluation. I will also be sending out the recording and the slides by the end of the week. So be on the lookout for those. Share with your colleagues or with anybody who you think could use this information. This is great for us to have to be able to share easily about all these different condoms that we have access to.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you too. So much that I learned from these is things that it never occurred to me that people would use cooking oil. And I don't believe I've ever sat through a presentation where that was specifically mentioned, but learning how other people see and understand sexuality like that, hugely valuable for me.
Yeah,
Good.
definitely. Yeah, I guess I've never thought of that either. I've heard of baby oil and like Vaseline, but I don't know that I've ever heard cooking oil either. So that's good to know. All right. Well, thank you,
Well, thank you.
everyone. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. See you all next month.
Bye.
Bye.